All right, sorry guys, we got disconnected. My bad. I don't know what to tell you.
My bad.
I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't my fault, but it happens.
That's on me. Take the L.
Yeah, I'll take the L. There he does. I guess this is the beauty of live streaming. Anyhow,
Punisher.
Punisher. Yes, there we go. Right. I actually forgot where I was. What are we talking about? All right.
Count the ceiling tiles.
All right. So my pick this week is The Punisher, and currently issue number 9 is out this week. This has been going on for several months. Little backtrack, right? Little backstory on this, right? So when issue 1 dropped, there was a big stink about the Punisher's logo, right?
Right.
They had changed the logo. A lot of people speculated it had to do with some people wearing the logo during the Capitol riots. It became this sort of conversational culture war football for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Reading the book, I'm not convinced that was necessarily the reason that they changed the logo. I think they just wanted to tell a story, and things kind of happened to interconnect. I could be wrong. But at the same time, the story's so good that it makes me doubt that this was just a reaction. You know what I mean?
Also, not everything needs to have nefarious intent.
Of course, that's we'll get into that a little bit later too. But yes, absolutely. So this series has been done by Jason Aaron and artist Jesus Saez.
Okay.
First of all, Jesus's artwork looks great. It looks fantastic. In addition to that, it's doing something really interesting. It's making Punisher the leader of the Hand. So
what is the Hand?
Okay, so all right, backstory. All right, here we go. This is the fun part.
Oh God.
All right, so okay.
Out here asking dumb questions.
No, I mean this is how it works, right? So glad you asked. So okay, we got to start from the beginning here. All right, the Punisher, right? Family killed by the mob at Central Park, in the 70s,
Okay,
depending on which story you read.
Love a mob hit.
Right, mob hit. Went on a path of vengeance against the criminal underworld and
Love
just
a
never
rampage.
stopped.
Great.
That extended to muggers and mob bosses and terrorists, whatever he thinks that he can enact justice upon, right?
That's very selective and subjective.
And very subjective, right? I mean, no, that's real. And so, during the course of his roaring rampage, the superhero world in the Marvel universe has always kind of come into conflict with him, right?
Sure, I bet
and
they have.
And this has always been a thing, right? Their version of justice, a lot of those characters don't kill, right? Is always in conflict with Frank's sense of justice, which is kill at all cost.
Okay.
Upon which has made him the most efficient killer in the Marvel universe on a number of levels.
Nice.
Sometimes cartoonishly so, and sometimes for humorous effect. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes they do it for a laugh. But in the midst of that, you have the Hand, which is one of the most ancient evils in the Marvel universe, right? And the Hand is this cult of ninjas that worship murder, basically.
I know that should sound goofy, but it's kind of tough.
It's kind of badass.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and that's the thing I love about it. This is one of my favorite corners in the Marvel universe. The Hand is cool, and so typically the Hand comes into conflict with Daredevil, right?
Okay.
But they have become problems for others in the Marvel universe before, right? So at the beginning of this story, they have convinced Frank Castle to become their leader. The reason being is because he is the most efficient killer in the Marvel universe, right?
Okay.
And so as the story unfolds, and I don't want to give away too much, but you find out that Frank Castle, the Punisher, and the Hand, their entire storyline their stories have intersected before over the course of his existence,
Okay.
right? Which is a really interesting angle. Now, the big hook, which I didn't see coming, and I was like, oh, is this book good? Is the Hand is known for resurrecting the dead. They have done this numerous times, right? They have resurrected Elektra, Daredevil's boo, right? They have resurrected, I think even Daredevil himself at one point in time, right? So what did they do to convince Frank Castle to run the Hand? Because it doesn't seem like something he would do off the break, right? They resurrected his wife. Right. Now,
Is she okay? Or is this
No.
okay. Yeah, necromancy never ever goes well.
And that's the interesting thing about it. That's the thing that's really fascinating about this, because she kind of has these weird pock marks in her body from the bullet holes.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
I would hate that.
Yeah, and Frank is just so, Frank is notoriously screwed up. He's not, and this is the thing I think a lot of people in the mainstream kind of got wrong about the character when they were talking about it during the riots, is he's not a hero.
He's motivated by trauma.
He's
sounds
motivated
like.
by trauma, and the best stories understand that.
Right.
The best the best Frank Castle stories don't wade into it as a revenge fantasy necessarily, but they see him as a tragic figure.
Right.
And and I feel like personally that's been the longevity of his character, and this book really leans into that. And so what you're reading is just kind of this great story, and then it gets into this whole thing where the hand is in conflict with Ares, the god of war. That's a whole other thing.
Ooh.
It's the Marvel Universe, so this is how these things run. It is so good.
The brain just supplied.
Questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions.
So, well, the first thing is commentary. My brain just like. Okay. So you keep saying the hand. It made me think of all the aliens from Toy Story. We're like, oh,
Oh, the claw.
The claw. Yeah. But Frank Castle instead of the claw.
Castle is our master. Castle is our leader.
I knew exactly what you're talking about. That's hilarious. All right, more questions.
Okay. So what's he? So is he is leading them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So where's the wife? Is she still with us?
She's still with us now.
Okay. Are they together?
They're together.
Does she remember?
No.
Oh, bad news.
Right. And so there's also this element of, and there's another, see, there's so many good nuances to this, and this is what I love about this, because there's one level of she doesn't remember what happened in Central Park those many years ago, and she keeps asking him what happened to the kids.
Oh no!
Right, because she's like, "Where are the kids, Frank? Where are the kids, Frank?" This is really good stuff. And the other flip side of this is the hand tried to resurrect the kids. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to give anything else away, but it is so good. And like, this is the type of stuff. This is why I read superhero comics, even though I don't consider him a superhero. This is why I read stuff like superhero comics, because this is just, it's got that interesting. These are morality plays in a lot of ways. Like when they're done really well, I know some people say, oh, they're power fantasies. I don't like it when they're power fantasies. Right. I don't get down on that stuff. I like it when they're kind of like these morality plays of like, commentary on justice, on death and life and all sorts of. I love that stuff.
Who has control?
Who has control and had to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because Punisher's doing that simultaneously. The Daredevil book is doing an interpretation of that as well. Okay. And of course, Daredevil and Punisher have intersected before, so they have a conflict about halfway through the series as well, and so good. I could talk about this way too much, so I'm gonna let it go, but read Punisher. It is not what you think it is. I guarantee you. Like,
I'm gonna be honest, you might have sold me on that, and I don't really read superhero stories.
Right. I mean, I would recommend it. I think it's one of those things that, like, if you at least have a cursory understanding of the Marvel Universe and the Punisher, just even if you watch the Netflix show, right, and Daredevil to an extent, this will work for you, I kind of feel.
Okay.
That's me personally. So yeah, Punisher #9 is in comic shops. Go back and get all 8 issues. It might be a little hard to find right now because I was told by a guy at the comic shop not too recently that speculators kind of scooped up the first couple of issues.
God.
And like, I'm sure they're on eBay or something like that. You might not be able to pull them off of the new issue rack necessarily.
Why can't people just like what they like?
I mean, it's it's the name of the game, unfortunately. But yeah, Punisher #9, definitely check that out. Also, check out Dune, House of Harkonnen.
Yes.
Yes. That #1 is out this week at your local comic shop. And you can find out more at your local comic shop by going to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. And on top of that, here's Anna-Mia with a rundown of what's available at your local comic shop this week. Check this out.
Do you know what new comics are coming out this week? No? Well, let's take a look. And that's just some of what you can find at your friendly local comic shop. To find a shop near you, visit comicshoplocator.com.
Hakes is back with another amazing auction that is chock full of pop culture awesomeness. Here are just some of the incredible items that you can find over at Hakes.com. With over 3,000 auction lots of comics, cards, political memorabilia, action figures, and more, and all items starting at just $9.99, this is one auction not to be missed. Closing dates for items are January 16th through 18th. Don't miss this 3-day event over at Hakes.com. Hakes, America's first collectibles auction house.
All right, and there's a Hakes auction going on right now, and Johnny just told me you have 2 hours left before the auction ends at this point. So
Run.
It ends today. I don't know about an actual
okay,
2 hours.
maybe not 2 hours, but it ends today.
Run,
That is
don't
for sure.
walk.
Yeah, run, don't walk. If you've been thinking about it, sitting on the fence about, oh, maybe I should try this. If you want to try your luck and bid for some stuff, go for it, because now's the time to do it. And not all these, I've been told repeatedly that not all these items are super expensive. So there's some big ticket items in there, but there's also stuff that's sort of affordable. Depending on what your version of affordable means.
Right.
So yeah, definitely check that out. It's of course, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not just superhero things, but let's be honest. Our audience, they want the Star Wars toys. They want the Silver Age and Bronze Age and comics as well. So yeah, check that stuff out. The lunch boxes, the mask, and the Masters of the Universe stuff. You guys want that stuff. So go check it out over at Hakes.com because the auction, like I said, ends today. All right, let's get into, oh man, we got some news. We got some news and some interesting commentary about Nightwing, which I'm looking forward to.
You and me both.
All right, let's do it. News time. All right. You okay? You confused Ashton on that one, Johnny.
Car horn?
I guess so. Let's jump into some news.
Golly. Okay, what am I doing here? Nightwing, that's right. Okay.
There you go.
Got it. Okay, Nightwing's a big boy now. That's the headline.
I mean, that's fair.
Nightwing's a big boy. Batman has officially asked Nightwing to take over leading the Justice League. So Nightwing number 100, which is out now, the Trinities, so Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they meet up with Dick Grayson and reveal that they envision him leading the next generation of the super team, the next generation of the Justice League. And Nightwing is initially kind of dubious at best about it. He considers it and eventually decides that he does want to take over that leadership role, but that he'll need support from Batman, because that's a big ask. And it's interesting because one of the panels, he's like, Batman's like, no, it's a big ask. I'm like, yeah, it is. So that's kind of where he's headed next, and I think he'll succeed. I lost my train of thought in the middle of that sentence.
Sorry, is that my fault? I'm typing over here. Is that my fault? That might have been on me.
The click-clacking was a little distracting,
Sorry.
But now my sentence is gone, and I'm sure it'll come back in 5 minutes from now, and it's not relevant anymore. How do you feel about Nightwing?
I love this. I think this is actually great. He's the leader of Teen. He was the leader of Teen Titans, right? And I mean, he's at this point, this character's withstood the test of time. The old sidekicks do. So
that's true.
So yeah, I'm into this. I think this is a cool angle. I'm actually more curious about what you have learned about Nightwing, and since researching this article, because you said some stuff yesterday, I was like, oh no, Ashton, don't go down this rabbit hole, please.
I did it. I went down the rabbit hole.
And what happened?
Okay, so I think the important backstory here is I was on Tumblr a couple weeks ago, just scrolling as one does, and I got attacked by some very graphic Nightwing fan art. And I was like, yo, is this a thing? Is it a thing?
Yeah,
so I clicked on the Nightwing tag on Tumblr, and I was like, oh, damn, this is a whole thing.
That's a whole thing.
So initially I just sort of played around with that, and I was like, okay, Nightwing has a very active, robust fandom.
Yes.
And then I mentioned that to you yesterday, and originally jokingly was like, I'm gonna get on AO3 and check the Nightwing tag. It did not end up being a joke. So if you don't know, AO3 is a fan fiction website. And it is kind of the fan fiction website.
Yeah.
And a lot of the work, it ranges from smut to
right, yeah. That's the best way
yeah, I was trying to think.
mean, there's no way to dance around it. That's what it is.
It ranges from smut to just basically playing in somebody else's sandbox and going further
just
with
telling
their
news stories and
right.
stuff, yeah.
So I went down a whole damn rabbit hole, and there's a lot to explore here. So I want to give you some numbers, okay?
Oh boy, okay.
Okay, so the Dick Grayson tag on AO3 has over 60,000 works associated with it. So that's everything that he'll show up in, even as like a side character or secondary character.
You know, I'm sorry, my immediate thought, sorry, not to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
Does Nightwing even sell 60,000 copies a month? That's my immediate thought. I'm sorry, continue.
So then I took that a step further in maybe what you as a traditional comic book reader might consider the wrong direction.
Probably.
I looked up, so Dick and Corey's tag, his actual like legitimate relationship.
Yes.
The Dick Corey tag has about 2,500 works.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So you remember, and I told you one time that the Captain America Bucky tag is very, very
You didn't have to tell me. I
hip
found out
and
the hard way.
happening.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the Dick Grayson Jason Todd tag is hip and happening.
No, are you serious? I didn't know this was a thing. Oh,
Like
God.
7,000, over 7,000 works.
Oh my God. Sorry, I didn't realize that was a thing.
That was my goal with this. Was I was interested in. I do want to
God.
point out, almost all of the fan art is Dick Corey art,
You're right, yeah.
but a lot of the writing tends to be
About Jason.
Dick
and-
Jason,
okay,
right?
uh-huh.
Which was kind of, admittedly, I have to say, my goal was like, what is going to be
The most disturbing
offensive
thing for Troy?
Yeah.
They're like, oh God. I mean, they're not related, but what? Like,
The fan fiction community does not care.
they have no chill. This is where they lose me every single time. I'm not gonna lie about this. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that it's not the case.
I'll send you some recommendations.
No,
Oh,
I
I
don't
also
wanna
then
know
spend
this.
like an hour reading various Dick Grayson
sure.
fan fiction.
Also, his name is Dick Grayson. Anyway, yes, okay. All right. Well, I guess, do you love him more than Batman at this point?
Oh, 100%. Full send. Batman could never.
I'm sure it's there, but I just, oof.
Also, Batman is like very much like, kind of gives dad vibes because he's like very, very stern in like
Yeah.
the rights and wrongs of society. And Dick Grayson's just got like an 8-pack and nice hair. Like,
You know what's interesting? He has not gotten that many film adaptations.
that would be, I think that would be interesting to
It's
do.
been like Chris O'Donnell and, I mean, I guess you could say Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Kinda. But yeah, like, I mean, given the amount of fan fiction for that character, you think there would be ample opportunity to cast him in a movie and put him in a Batman film. So
Right.
that's interesting. I just, yikes.
You're welcome. Happy Wednesday.
Oh God. Let's move on to something more comfortable, like the
We do have a
Dungeon-
comment real quick.
Oh, what's going on here?
Brian Blevins saying he loves the set. Such a great conversation for Nightwing to do what he does best, level up.
No, it's a good idea. It's a great concept.
He also says that stories of them being shipped is awkward.
That's what he needs to level down.
You need to level that down.
All right, can we talk about something that won't make me so uncomfortable, like the Dungeons and Dragons thing, please?
I mean, this might make you
I
uncomfortable.
mean, I don't know.
All right, so there is a significant amount of drama swirling around Dungeons and Dragons and all of their licensing. So I guess the way we'll kind of attack this is, it was kind of a challenge for me to understand at first. That's the first thing I want to admit here as someone that's not particularly active in the tabletop role-playing game. This was above my pay
It
grade.
was an education. For
I
sure.
finally got there. So I guess, like we said, the best way to do it is I'll explain as I understand the drama to be, and then you can
I'm just
correct
kind of.
me, add in your...
Well, I'm not in position to correct anybody on this. Let me be clear.
Okay.
About that. But I'm just curious if we compare notes, and then our audience can maybe chime in and let us know if we have properly understood what's going on. So
Okay.
I'm gonna cable snag it. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast, owned by Hasbro, is kind of the purveyor of Dungeons and Dragons. So they have this thing called the Open Game License, or the OGL, which is basically a never-ending license for third-party creators to make game materials for Dungeons and Dragons using D&D's framework. So you use the basic D&D rules to develop your own content. So magic items, your own monsters, your own classes, spells, whatever. And then you can publish them as books, online PDFs, digital content, whatever. And that is still your content.
Right,
You
yeah.
own that content. And so the goal of that OGL was to help fill a demand that Wizards of the Coast would never be able to do on their own. Dungeons and Dragons got so popular that there's no way to create all of this content to basically drive this forward. So they lean on their players and their fans to basically do the work for them in some respect while being able to maintain their creative ownership. What they want to do now is kind of upgrade to a different OGL called 1.1. And the kind of drama there is that it deauthorizes the original OGL, so you're forced to use this new one, even if you don't like the terms of it, and you can't walk it back. And so then the main kind of points of contention here, I would say, is that so under this new OGL, creators need to tell Wizards of the Coast what they're working on in terms of any D&D related content. They have to declare revenue and pay royalties to Wizards of the Coast. And then creators would forego any rights of ownership they have of their own creations to Wizards of the Coast. And Wizards of the Coast would be able to republish and use that work without any credit or compensation. And that's the original gripe. And there was a lot of concern about that.
Yeah.
So then,
to put it mildly.
yeah, concern. We're concerned. We're outraged. So then, I think yesterday it was Wizards of the Coast released a statement, and it's quite long, so I won't, read the whole thing through here. But I want to hit some of the high points, the most important parts of it, which is that content already released under the original OGL will remain unaffected in any new OGL, and then they went on to say that any new OGL that's published will not contain any royalty structure. It will also not include the license back provision that some people were afraid means for them to steal work. They say that thought never crossed their mind, and under any new OGL, creators will own their own content, and Wizards of the Coast will not. So that seems to allay most of the big concerns with OGL 1.1.
Well, I can tell you it has not.
Oh, yikes.
I mean, just based off of the stuff I read as late as yesterday evening and some of the videos I watched, people are still not happy, right? And it's one of those things like, so this is what I've discovered. This is the fans' perspective. And this is not my perspective because I'm not a D&D person, but this is the fans' perspective. It's like the reason they did this is there are a lot of games on Kickstarter and people are making money off these games, and it uses the OGL to make those games.
Right.
And so they're under the belief is that Wizard of the Coast sees that as a potential revenue stream.
Of course.
That's how I've understood. And like, I've heard everything from they are the original version of this 1.1 license.
1.0 is the original
1.0 license. I'm sorry, well, the one after that.
1.1.
1.1 license. Is they wanted 25% of revenue over $750,000. And so that left a lot of people kind of fuming about this. As you know, the D&D community is very passionate. Like a lot of these communities are.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that it's because of the original OGL that we got something like Pathfinder.
I learned it this morning.
Yeah, I was actually like,
Yeah.
oh wow, okay, so this really runs deep. It's not just the fan community at the local comic shop playing the game, right? It's also extends to people who've done stuff through Kickstarter, but also just companies like Paizo as well.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting to see the number of people kind of like puff up and talk about this. And I've seen everyone from it was Cory Doctorow, who's like this journalist from Boing Boing. To Neil Gaiman, who kind of co-signed what Cory Doctorow had to say. What did they co-sign? I mean, he reposted and tweeted something about it. And even the people at Critical Role, who you would imagine, also this affects quite a bit, even though they have apparently a deal with Wizards of the Coast, which also is not surprising.
Right.
They also had to issue an official statement saying we support the fans, but we also support Wizards of the Coast. It was kind of like, and that left a foul taste in a lot of people's mouths too.
I bet that did not land well.
I mean, the thing I take away from this is look, the community has power.
Yes.
And I think that's really important here, right? We were joking earlier about the Halo, Last of Us, Witcher,
right.
When these companies get involved and these things become larger IPs and they become more mainstream, et cetera. So now these things, the landscape that you knew them as a fan shifts, right?
Yes.
But don't forget, you guys have power as a community.
Yeah.
So if you speak up, there you go. So I don't know what, I anticipate more drama coming this way from this thing, but
this is not done.
This is not done at all, right?
No.
But especially considering what I saw last night, I just tweets and articles being written and YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And
Also,
stuff.
to my understanding, they had. It seems like However, it was discovered that the OGL was changing, which was maybe an article on ICV2.
So it was like a leak, from my understanding. Yeah. No.
From whenever that happened, there was just like a long period of time where Wizards of the Coast just didn't say anything, which is kind of, it just gave everyone a lot of time to stew,
Yeah,
I guess.
right, yeah.
Kind of amplifies the issue.
But I mean, also understand as a company, like, taking time to think about what you're going to say.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this is your consumer base after all. So, all right, cool. I mean, it's interesting. I like, I think you explained it pretty well. I don't think I need to. I was going to try to use this really murky John Carter Star Wars toys comparison.
Oh no!
And like,
I feel like you would have lost me.
I would have lost you, so I'm not even going to bother with that. Actually, speaking of Star Wars, I just want to point out, February is Black History Month. Marvel's doing a bunch of throughout February a bunch of variant covers featuring the Black characters in the Star Wars universe, which is actually pretty cool. The artist is Mateus
You got it.
Mateus Manhanini.
There it is.
I'm going to say, right? And so there's going to be covers featuring some of these characters. I'll be honest with you. I guess I'm out of step with some of the Star Wars stuff. I don't know who all these characters are. I recognize Janna from the current comic books. I, of course, recognize Finn.
Right.
I don't know who Olivia is. I've never seen
She's
her.
from the High Republic.
Okay. Jayala is from... No, that's actually not the character from Obi-Wan. I take that back.
No. Oh, that would have been cool, though, the Inquisitor.
Right, yeah.
That she would have been cool to do.
Grief Karga, of course, a Mandalorian. You made a point, and I also kind of thought about this too. Why would you do the Lando from probably the lowest grossing Star Wars movie?
Right. Like the one everyone took their Star Wars rage out on.
Now,
You're like, let's put him on the cover. Also, like, okay, I get, like you said, it's for the kids, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But
supposedly.
it's not his character. It's not his character. It says Lando Calrissian.
You're right.
That's Billy D. Williams.
That's owned by Billy D. Williams in a lot of ways. I totally get you on that. I mean, actually, we never talked about this. What did you think of him as Lando? Because I thought he was fine.
I really liked him as Lando.
I really liked him as Lando. It's just that the movie is not popular.
The movie's actually not even bad, though. It's just
not.
everyone was mad about Last Jedi, and they were like, let's show Disney with our dollars, which I'm all for. Like, that's, as a consumer, that's, how
the community has power, right?
Right, that's how you make a stand. You decide what you do and don't want to put your dollars towards. So I respect that. But it wasn't as bad of a movie as their box office numbers would lead you to believe.
So that's the other flip side of the community has power thing, right?
Right. Misguided.
Right. Sometimes you take it out on the wrong thing, right? Yeah. And so there's an aspect of that as well. I mean, we were talking, Johnny, you and I were talking about this. Like, Solo, Rogue One, and The Mandalorian are like to me the best things that start the new Star Wars stuff that's been released.
Rogue One was excellent, and like, don't get me wrong, I love The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian is great, and I love the idea of exploring like post-Empire, but before another like government system forms. That weird like vacuum of power is fascinating and a great playground. Rogue One is probably my favorite Disney-made Star Wars property.
Oh man, okay.
So good.
Okay. Actually, speaking of Mandalorian, the trailer dropped.
I know.
I didn't expect to be so excited about it.
Yeah.
But then watching it all over again, I was like, oh man, I did really enjoy these.
Yeah.
Like, I was really sucked into this. It's just, there's something authentically Star Wars about this that really speaks to me.
It's got the feel.
It's got the feel. And like, I've talked about this before, like, and I think Rogue One embodies this very well as well. And also Andor, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely has the feel of Star Wars, which is something that I took a lot of issue with when Obi-Wan came out.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't, you were looking at me like, really, Troy, you don't like the way it's shot?
The cinematography's all wrong.
I mean, because to me, Star Wars is less a sci-fi thing. It's less a Star Wars thing, right? It's a movie thing. You know what I mean? And so there's a certain visual ninjutsu that comes with Star Wars, right? And it's also one of the things I hated about the prequel trilogies is like J.J. style. Actually, one of the things I liked about The Last Jedi is I feel like it looked like a Star Wars movie more than Force Awakens and what was the last one?
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker,
Incredibly.
right? Which everybody forget. I always forget the name of it. It's just right over
Yeah,
there.
everyone's like, the last one,
The last one that nobody
where
liked.
Palpatine returned somehow.
Somehow, exactly. But thoughts on the trailer, Ashton? Come on.
Oh, I'm hyped.
You hyped?
I didn't realize this was coming. It like snuck up on me.
Yeah, it stuck with me too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I was real excited about it. Also, Baby Yoda's back in action. I feel like I need to rewatch the parts of Book of Boba Fett that have to do with him, because I think I'm forgetting some things that he's got to go pay for his transgressions or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And I know that has to do with taking off the helmet in the Imperial base or whatever, but I think I'm missing some pieces. Yeah. Anyway, I'm incredibly excited. I also remembered or realized that I am the drama when it comes to Star Wars.
You're part of the problem?
I'm part of the problem. I swear I don't mean to be.
We all are part of the problem in some way. When it comes to communities, there's always there's that one thing.
It's me. I'm the problem.
But how did you realize that?
I was scrolling through Twitter this morning, and everyone was talking about it's so goofy how the most important emotional plot point of The Mandalorian got resolved in a show none of us watched. And which they kind of did in Book of Boba Fett, to which my immediate knee-jerk reaction was, "That's not my problem. You should have watched it."
You should have watched it. I mean, did it get resolved though? I don't feel like it was resolved.
I mean, he went to Luke to recover the baby Yoda. Didn't that happen in Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, it did happen in Book of Boba Fett.
Which that was the whole thing. Was he gives up baby Yoda to Luke at the end of Mandalorian season 2, which is a totally badass scene. I have to say,
great. Yeah,
Luke shows up and just cooks everybody. And that's the end of Mandalorian. Yeah. So then we're sans baby Yoda. He's off being a Jedi, or Padawan, if you will. Yeah, so then they go and recover him, have the whole thing with Luke and Ahsoka, and that happens in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I saw someone reference Book of Boba Fett as Mandalorian season 2.5.
Because he also does the whole thing with the Darksaber, and he fights the other Mandalorian, gets the Darksaber.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I could see it as 2.5. Actually, if I think of it as Mandalorian 2.5, it's not as upsetting.
Yeah.
And I can just move on from it. So yeah, I'm just all for it. Like that Filoni Favreau combo is so lethal and so on point, and it's really I think we talked about the bank of trust.
Yes.
When we did we just did a DCEU roundtable, and I was talking about the bank of trust and how DCEU
has none.
Yeah, through fault of its own, but no fault of its own.
Sure.
Has kind of disrupted the bank of trust, and that's why it's hard for them to get good in a lot of ways.
Get good
in a lot of ways, and so this is one of those things where Mandalorian, in its own little pocket of the Star Wars universe, has maintained that bank of trust.
Absolutely.
So it's okay.
Yes. I'm also excited to see Baby Yoda maybe do some Jedi stuff.
Yeah. Actually, you got that little bit at the end, which is kind of nice. That was cool. Johnny, any thoughts on The Mandalorian?
Nope, everything. I'm just excited about too.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, there you go.
We're a hype crowd.
We're a hype crowd. We're all for it. I'm all in. Yeah, I'm definitely all about it.
Hype crew.
I want to pivot to something a little less cheery for a second. Jason Pearson. He was the artist who actually came into prominence because of a book called Body Bags in the late 90s, early 2000s. His artwork really kind of took the comic world by storm at one point in time. And it was on the heels of this artist era in comics that had the resurgence of the artist as the main attraction to a comic book. And so he was definitely part of that generation. He passed away apparently in December at age 52.
Oh God, that's so young.
And this did come on the heels of some dogpiling that had happened to him a few months ago. And I won't get into it. It was kind of goofy overall. It was one of those online arguments that went nowhere and just it really didn't need.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, you just don't even need a resolution to it. It just kind of was like, all right, that's over with. But it was just it's interesting because I always loved his artwork, and particularly if I remember correctly, he did a great 2-part story with Jason Aaron, who writes The Punisher currently, of Black Panther during the Secret Invasion storyline, and I swear, if he had continued to draw that comic, I would have loved it. Because his artwork was so perfect for that series. Yeah. But yeah, Jason Pearson definitely passed away. I mentioned the dogpiling a couple of months ago, right? Because as people tend to do online, you become banned, blacklisted or whatever you want to call it. Not really, but kind of. I don't want to say canceled, but you know what I mean. And so I think that there was an element of that at one point in time. And another artist who I really respect, Nelson Blake, put up a post on Twitter just the other day where he was talking about meeting Jason Pearson and how like he's one of those people that he admired as an up and coming creator. He's been described as complicated and troubled. Jason Pearson has, and Nelson Blake just kind of made a very key point here that I think is actually really good for us right now, right?
Okay.
Which is this idea of he had 2 exchanges with him, one which was great and one that was not so great, but was also kind of puzzling for him. And sometimes you just don't know what people are dealing with.
Yeah.
And there's definitely an element of maybe there were some mental health issues, all sorts of stuff. But I think just some leniency sometimes. Like like I don't the dogpiling can be really unnecessary. I don't think it's ever really necessary, to be honest. So yeah, Jason Pearson. I mean, I'm going to say this. I know it's becoming a cliche on this show, right? But I say it every single time. His work lives on, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, some of us can only aspire to be part of people's collections and remembered like in that way. So shout out to Jason Pearson. Sorry to see him go. But yeah, if you get a chance, check out Body Bags and check out that 2-parter Black Panther story, because it was a lot of fun. It was just a wild, fun story. All right, let's jump on to the next thing, which is
I'm ready.
DST Unboxed. Wow, it's almost 3 o'clock. Jeez.
Yeah.
We just have a pause in the middle of the show. So let's watch DST Unboxed with Natasha, and I'll come back. I'll explain a little bit more about it.
What if I was unboxing Captain America? Or what if I wasn't? This is DST Unboxed. I'm your host, Cannon, and you should always expect the unexpected. All right, I'm not really the watcher, but I am an unboxer, so we are going to open this Captain Carter up. She comes in a full color window box. This is one of my daughter's favorites. She actually calls her Captain Womaka. So I love these Diamond Select Toys PVC dioramas. We should talk and then open. These are really great because they're cost effective as a collector, but you're not missing out on any detail or quality. So as you can see, so it's PVC diorama, so it's very light, but it's so detailed. The sculpting looks really cool. The paint application looks really cool. This is from the Marvel Disney Plus What If show. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's all animated. It's super cool. It gives you from the comics, pulled the what if Peggy was Captain America. So her armor here on her suit has a nice metallic finish to it. She has the harness to be able to hold a shield on her back. And you can even see, so she's got the over armor, and then her under armor, it has a material look to it. Let's cut to the 360 and find out more. A Diamond Select Toys release. The Sentinel of Liberty joins the Marvel Gallery line of dioramas. As seen in the very first episode of Marvel's What If, Captain Peggy Carter charges into action in this all-new gallery diorama. Cast in high-quality PVC, this sculpture stands approximately 10 inches tall and features detailed sculpting and paint applications. It comes packaged in a full-color window box and was designed and sculpted by Paul Harding. So as you can see, she is just so cool, ready to take down Hydra and ready to just kick so much butt. To find this, head over to DiamondSelectToys.com, where it's the best of all worlds, even what if ones. What if you stayed for the bloopers? But for now, watch this unboxing. Oh no. Sentinel. I'm your host, Cannon, and you should always unexpect.
We were definitely talking about Dick Grayson and Jason Todd some more during the break. Conversations that will not make it on the show, thank God. All right, we are running behind big time, so let's jump into the asinine arguments. And
okay, I'm ready.
I'm
having a hair that's in the wrong place, but we're gonna keep it pushing and fix it later.
Let's jump into
Okay, inspired by Dick and Jason's great love story.
No. Thought we were done with this.
It's just inspired by. I've asked you guys, what is your favorite ship out of these choices? They're all legitimate. They're all legitimate ships.
Wait, okay. I'm not gonna press this too hard. Batman and Brooding. Actually, Batman and Brooding is my favorite. That's my pick. Johnny, go for it.
I want to pick Spider-Man and MJ, but just looking at the Batman and Brooding one, it's kind of hard not to pick that one.
Ashton, what is your answer?
Definitely Batman and Brooding.
All right, let's click on Batman and
Ooh,
Brooding.
it's winning.
It's actually
Wow.
tied. Yes,
Tied right now.
That's actually pretty good. I was gonna say Superman and Lois shipping. I mean, they're together.
Yeah, but like so are the rest of these people.
I guess shipping still means
Yeah, like a relationship.
just a relationship. Period. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the fictional relationship the fans want. Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fair. All right, let's jump into the comic shop shout out for this week.
All right. Okay, this week's comic shop shout out goes to Aegis Comics of Alaska. We're giving them a shout out similar to the shop from Philly last week. They've launched a GoFundMe. They are struggling right now. They're one of the only comic shops in Alaska, and they're struggling as a result of extreme weather. They were really looking forward to a strong holiday season to keep their shop going, keep their heads above water, and make good money during the holiday shopping. But because of some extreme weather in Alaska, their shop was closed. Nobody could even get out of their house to go shopping if the shop was open. So that kind of bump that they were looking forward to never really came. So they are asking for help. And if you are in a position to be able to help, I'm sure they would greatly, greatly appreciate it. They are really close to their goal right now. They're at 5,400 and they're looking for 7,500.
Yeah.
So most of the way there. Johnny, we have pictures from inside their shop for the credit roll.
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So we'll show you some pictures inside of their shop. If you want us to shout out your local comic book shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your local comic book shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
Woo, look at that, man. Lightning fast.
Nailed it.
This is your reminder to like, follow, and subscribe. Hang out with me over at Previews World. Hang out with Ashton over at...
Free Comic Book Day.
And if you do hang out with me over for Previews World, here's some of what you will discover. There's a few pre-order new PX items on the website right now. Number one being... Johnny?
Drum roll.
There you go, shirts. There you go. I actually floated this on the timeline the other day on our social media. There's a really cool Man Thing one at the bottom of this, which I absolutely might consider picking up. So if you see me wearing this on the next show, you'll
Don't
know
say
it's-
anything. Is that Cthulhu?
It's Man Thing.
Oh, okay.
I guess, it never occurred to me, but yes, he does look like Cthulhu. I don't know why that never occurred to me until you just said that.
You're welcome.
Sometimes you need the outsider to
Yeah.
point stuff out for it to make sense. Because I just see Man Thing, that's how
I just saw it from a distance on all of the tendrils.
But he's legit. But he's legit Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me that was an inspiration for that character. I never made that connection before. Also on our website right now, the best of 22. One of the themes for we have monthly themes for the catalog, and one of the themes, or the themes for January, is award winners because we're at the beginning of a new year. And of course, you can do the obvious things like there's Layla Starr, Paper Girls, Animal Castle, but also we went the extra step and gave you our staff picks for the year.
Whoa.
So you're definitely going to be able to, of course, as you see, Punisher by Jason Aaron and Paul Azeketa.
That's crazy,
It's
right
actually on
there.
there, right there. Also, Kali, great book. Ninja Funk came out the end of the year. Grabbed my attention. Ghost Cage is so good. Pick up Ghost Cage. But yeah, check that out. You can get a little insight into each of those. And I think they all have preview pages attached to them. So also that's an added bonus. And here's a reminder for the DCU Roundtable. I mentioned this yesterday. Earlier in the show, I'm sorry. We did a nice little roundtable on Friday with me and my friends, hanging out, having comic shop talk, just talking about...
Yeah, I saw
things-
Mystical Green Beanie was in there.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in there. And he managed to make some good points without being like incendiary.
That's crazy. It's really impressive.
without trolling everybody. But yeah, we had a nice little discussion about the state of the DC film universe, right?
Okay.
DCEU is so hard to say for some reason. And the handoff, or maybe wrestling from Zack Snyder to, I guess, actually it wasn't even a handoff or wrestling. It was a wrestling from Zack Snyder to Limbo to handing off to James Gunn.
Yeah, it seems kind of messy.
Yeah, it's a little messy, but we all kind of came away with our little perspectives, and we'd like you guys to jump in and join the conversation. Leave some comments, let us know what you want for the DCEU under that video. That's on our YouTube right now. And that is it for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen,
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
and we will see all of you at the spinner rack. Catch you later.
Oh my.
Don't forget that you can catch Previews World Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific at Previews World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.